Hello, I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of The Shooting Show. We certainly want to welcome you to today's program. Friends, it's a beautiful spring day. Couldn't be nicer. We've got a little logging work going on over there somewhere way away, but the air is carrying the sound up here, but so no, they're not. We certainly won't be shooting in their direction. Anyway, we're certainly glad to have you join us today, friends. Our shooting show is about showing the safe and responsible use of whatever kind of gun you want to talk about, whether it's a handgun or a shotgun or a rifle, whatever else. And you know, these are serious instruments. They are serious tools not to be taken lightly. Of course not. That's why we're here, is to teach anyone who will stop and look and listen what we're saying about the proper use of one of these guns. If you misuse one of these guns, you deserve to pay whatever penalty is prescribed by law. You know, friends, this week there's a newspaper article right here. Got a little breeze out here in front of this newspaper. School ambush kills 5 in Jonesboro, Arkansas. That is a real tragedy. It is a tragedy that is one of the prices that we pay for living in a free society, is that you can't control all the people all the time. But these two young kids, 11 and 13, stole some guns, obviously unbalanced. No telling what ludicrous television programs they may have seen. You know, and this bothers me too, some of the TV shows that show guns, the violence with guns being glorified, needless violence. There have been movies like, someone was telling me about a movie called Natural Born Killers, where killing people appeared, certainly the person I talked to, it looked like it was fun on the movie screen. How many times have we seen things like this? How about video games that glorify needless violence, that glorify? Like I said, front page of the paper here. Let's go over to page 3, and here is an article from Daly City, California. A mother used duct tape that you can buy universally anywhere. A mother used duct tape to suffocate her 3 little girls in their pajamas. Now wait a minute, friends. Are we going to say that we need to have a Brady bill for duct tape? Kill 3 little girls, helpless, innocent little girls, with common garden variety duct tape. Do we want to put a waiting period on duct tape? You want to fill out a form whether or not, because the point here is almost anything can be used as a weapon. Clothesline, a hammer, a screwdriver, duct tape. Heck, you know, you could probably smother somebody with newspaper if you had enough of it. Anything at all can be used as a weapon. And mark my words, we're going to see a whole onslaught of new legislation from the anti-gun people in trying to disarm us, the free American gun owner. Certainly, we feel terrible about what happened, but you know what? When there's a car wreck on the highway, a year or so ago, I remember locally, a kid had a new Mustang, actually, with a V8 engine, and he was licensed to drive. Yet he was had got some of his friends in the car, Mustang convertible. He was doing over 100 miles per hour in a 35 mile per hour speed zone. Guess what? Went over a bridge, car wreck, killed them all. A terrible thing. You're going to outlaw Mustangs? I don't think so. In a free society, we can never have complete control. What I ask now is, where are the parents of those little boys? What kind of instruction have they had? You know, certainly we want to instruct people, younger people especially, in the use of guns. We also need to instruct them on what happens if you misuse a gun or anything else. You know, it's a terrible thing. We're seeing the fruits of the baby boom generation, when now with our tax structure, many times it takes both parents working outside the home just to make ends meet. And guess who's suffering? The children are suffering. Nobody is watching the children. And today, gun safety can't even be taught in so many schools across the country because the anti-gun people don't want anything about guns, even gun safety, taught in the schools. Friends, it's outrageous. Get ready. You know, at the same time, I'm going to read something out of the current American Rifleman. Listen to this. This is from the Daily News in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, October 15th of '97. Rafael Hernandez, Philadelphia check cashing agency, had been robbed one too many times. He obtained a right to carry permit, determined that he would not be a victim again. While entering the rear of his store one morning, he was approached by an armed man who tried to force his way in. Fernandez drew his .45 caliber pistol and shot the man, who died a short time later. An accomplice drove off at the sound of the shots and was being sought by police. Another one, a rash of burglaries in Sutton, West Virginia came to an end when armed citizens intervened. After seeing a man inside a clothes store, a woman called the owners, Linda Shaver and Brenda Argabright. The two armed themselves and confronted the intruder, holding him for police. The man is suspected of 15 breaking and entering crimes. It goes on and on and on. Friends, firearms are used over 2.5 million times a year to stop and prevent crime. It can prevent women from being brutalized. It can prevent all kinds of terrible things from happening. And we're going to see incidents like it happened the other day in Jonesboro, Arkansas, used on the emotional side with the people that don't know anything about guns, and by the people who want to take them away. We're going to see incidents like this used against us when they are such a positive influence in our society. So just get ready for it. That's one of the reasons we're here today. If you want to help us stay on the air and reach more people with the truth about how guns should be handled and used, please send whatever you can to the Shooting Show, 327 Irvin Rowland Road in Dubberly, Louisiana. The zip code is 71024. If you can advertise and help us stay on the air, if you can join our support group, please, whatever you can do, give us a call. Our phone number, area 318-377-5189. Well, we do have a great show for you today. We have a lot of things that I think you're going to be interested in seeing. Let's take our Van Comp Barrel Mossberg 590 and let's open another shooting show. Friends, we have some things to show you today I think you're going to be impressed with. First of all, let me show you an old gun that I don't really get very attached to machines of any type, whether it's a car or a gun. I get attached to people, you know, but and pets, you know, but I really don't get attached to machines. But this old gun right here has a little more of a special, probably special meaning to me. It was the first gun that I ever got when I was a little kid. I think I was 9 when my parents gave me this gun, and I was strictly supervised. I was properly taught in how the gun works. I was also taught in the dangers, just like of any firearm. But this gun also has a more significant meaning even than that. Years ago, we were playing music back old nightclubs many years ago. For some reason, I had this gun in the back of my car. We were playing a nightclub over in Bossier City, Louisiana, and pretty tough neighborhood. Well, I don't know why, but I had a gun in the back of my car. Back when I was in my early 20s, I'm a little bigger than your standard person. I figured, hey, nobody's gonna bother me. I mean, what I have to be afraid of? Well, I found out, playing music in these clubs, I found out that sometimes people would get to drinking somewhat, and somebody bigger like myself, well, heck, they would see that as a better challenge, you know. And someone who's a little bigger like me is more likely to get cut or shot. So anyway, it had occurred to me that life in the world might be a little more dangerous than I had originally suspected. And anyway, I had my old shotgun in the trunk of my car, and a friend of mine who was running the club, we were working there for him, and a gang, it was actually a motorcycle gang of really, I think they were just worthless criminal type people that just happened to ride motorcycles, because I've ridden a motorcycle myself for years. Don't have one right now, but have for many years, and we're just gonna call them a gang because that's what they were. A couple of them came in the nightclub there, and they had a pool room separate, and they figured, well, heck, they're big and bad and rough and tough, and they're gonna take over the pool room there. Okay, well, the manager walks out and he says, you fellas gonna have to go on. Well, they're gonna jump on, whip him while we were on break. He said, Johnny, come here, help me quick. Well, I walked over, and here I am, big old boy, and there's two of them, there was two of us, two of them. So they said, oops, don't like the odds here. They said, we'll be back. Well, first thing that the manager did was call the police. Said, look, we've got a threat here from a bona fide gang, and they were known. They killed each other, and they killed a couple of local folks there over time, and bad people. He said, you know, let's call the police quickly. He says, Johnny, you have a gun? I said, yeah, I got one in my car. He says, you know, you might ought to get it. Because all he had was a 2-shot Derringer. Now here's a 38 Special. This is actually a 22 Magnum here, but it was just like this, a little Derringer with 2 bullets. That's all he had was 2 cartridges. Well, all I had, my old shotgun, was about 3 shells. That's all I had. Single shot, Model 37 Winchester, 20 gauge, 1 shooter. About three shells, bird shot or squirrel shot, something, that's all. Well, we had called the police, but I went ahead and brought my shotgun in to where we were working there, and sure enough, the gang comes back, and the real gang comes this time. 7 of them show up. Okay, we've only got 2 shells in his little Derringer. I've only got 3 for this shotgun. There were 5 gang members, and they did look rough too. And you know what, friends? The club manager, he stood there and talked to him and ran his mouth and had his little 2-shooter there. But you know what? Those gang members, they saw this shotgun, even though it was a 1-shot, and I had the other 2 cartridges, the other 2 shells. I learned a great lesson in life. Nobody wanted to be first. You know, if they had attacked us in mass, we didn't have enough shells. Even if I could have reloaded, we couldn't have gotten them out. But you know what? Nobody wanted to be first. It was our will to stand up and not take the abuse and not take the attack that literally settled the day. And they did. You know, even a single shot shotgun and a Derringer and 2 determined people ran off a gang of 7 dangerous young men. Now that happened, friends. I was there. And you know, yeah, I was afraid. But you know, there's no place to run, no place to hide. And about 30 minutes later, after we ran them off, the police came. And see, we used these guns.
30 minutes later.
About 30 minutes later, they were tied up on something else. We didn't have to fire a shot. But you see, every one of those gang members knew the first one who launched an attack with a gun or knife, whatever else, was going to get a stomach full or chest full of number 6 bird shot or squirrel shot. And that made the difference. Nobody, they weren't down there. They were just down there to take care of us, to beat us up or kill us. They weren't there to sacrifice their lives, and they understood that the end was in sight. As someone said, no one wants to look down the Holland Tunnel, and a shotgun at close range looking down the bore of one of these things would look about like looking down the bore of the Holland Tunnel. So that is a real incident with this old gun right here, and a gun very similar to this little 22 Derringer. So that is an example I have of reality of protecting my own life and the lives of others with a single shot shotgun. That's all I had.
Stay tuned for more of The Shootin' Show after these important messages.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. know, friends, all of us as shooting enthusiasts should be subscribing to Shotgun News, the trading post for anything that shoots. 3 big issues monthly with literally thousands and thousands of firearms bargains. Give them a call, 1-800-345-6923, a very inexpensive subscription price. Again, 1-800-345-6923. Subscribe today.
You certainly recognize my lovely wife, Heather. It's a great day out here. And we're going to show you something. You know, speaking of shotguns, Heather is a normal-sized woman. And, you know, friends, we got to get these women out shooting, and shotgun shooting at sporting clays or clay targets or rifle shooting sometimes is a little much for the ladies. Now then, thankfully, we as men can be thankful that the women are constructed different from us. You know, that's a real plus. Okay, but the folks who bring you the past shooting glove and the past recoil shield also make a special attachment just for the ladies. And it goes under their shirt. In fact, it has some Velcro strips here to attach to their bra straps, and it goes over the shoulder like so, and literally goes a long way toward lessening recoil. And you know what? If you take these women out there and they don't get hurt, they're much more likely to go back and shoot with you again. We don't want any part of our body. We certainly want our eyes protected, our ears, and if we can protect the shoulder on the shotguns and things that do have some recoil, will go a long way toward furthering our cause with these ladies. Now, darling, if you would, go ahead and load that gun. My friend, she's installed this, it's called the Herean, H-E-R-E-A-N, something like that, recoil shield. So go ahead, I'll step out of the way, got your hair protection on. Go ahead and go ahead and shoot the gun there. Now this little 20 gauge is light. That didn't hurt at all, did it?
No.
This is really a plus, friends. You can get this from your local sporting goods dealer. In fact, somebody ought to call past and tell them that we featured this on our program. But we could darn sure use their sponsor dollars.
Yeah,
but this is a very worthwhile addition, certainly. Like this 20 gauge is very light. It does have a good bit of kick with about anything you put in it. And friends, we've got to get these women out here with us. So that's something we thought we'd show you today that really could make it, sure, made shotgun shooting a lot nicer for you, hadn't it?
Oh, a lot more tolerable.
This painting graphically illustrates the point that for all its strengths, the .58 caliber rifled musket did not have a volume of fire that was compatible with its accuracy. If soldiers were extended in any sort of skirmish line, their massed volume of fire was so low that they might well be overrun. This problem could in some measure be solved with a breech-loading weapon. The U.S. Indian Wars provide some perfect examples of the changes wrought by the breech loader when it replaced the muzzle-loading rifled musket. It would perhaps be profitable to start with the war between the states. Many historians are prone to criticize the decision makers in the war between the states as being stupid. The historians say that machine guns and repeating rifles were available. Anyone should have seen their superiority and should have adopted them immediately. Such historians are technical illiterates. The weapons of the war between the states were 19th century weapons and were in no way equivalent to anything we conceive of in the 20th century. For example, to characterize a Gatling gun as a machine gun is the grossest possible twisting of the term. The same is true of the breech-loading and repeating rifles and carbines of the war between the states era. Though they had a greater volume of fire than the rifled musket, those breech loaders and repeaters that did actually work, and there were few of those, suffered severe limitations in combat range. Further, at any one time, there were at least 15 or 20 competing designs of breech loaders and repeaters being shown to the Army. Each one was totally different in design and function and took a completely different type and caliber of ammunition. However, each one had at least one salesman who could put on a demonstration proving his to be better than the others. Normally that salesman had more than a little political clout from some fellow in Congress. Regardless of what the salesman showed, cartridge cases and rifle designs were in their infancy and were not up to the claims made for them. When issued in the field, breech loaders like the Joslin were discarded immediately, but they were not worth carrying. Lastly, you should understand that the manufacturing plants, though much better in the North than in the South, were still not capable of producing breech loaders or repeaters in the necessary millions of copies, nor ammunition for them in the required billions of rounds. Given these limitations in manufacturing, the short combat range, the technical infancy and unreliability of the breech loaders and the cartridge cases, there were very good reasons for retaining the .58 caliber rifled musket as the primary shoulder weapon during the war. By 1866, however, things were changing. The attention that the war focused on the problem of breech loaders began to result in some very sound designs. Further, cartridge cases were rapidly improving, and the industrial capacity of the North found that post-war demand was more in line with what they could produce. Into this arena stepped Mr. Erskine Allen, a toolmaker at the Springfield Armory. He patented and showed to the Army his method of converting the Springfield rifled musket into a breech loader. His basic idea was to cut out the breech area of the rifled musket. The resulting trough was filled with a breech block that pivoted upwards like a trap door. After discharge, the hammer was cocked, the lock released, and the breech raised. This extracted and ejected the old cartridge. The shooter then thumbed a new cartridge into the chamber, closed the breech, and was ready to fire. The first Allen conversion was chambered for a metallic cartridge which roughly duplicated the ballistics of the .58 caliber rifled musket. By 1866, his second model conversion, which included relining the barrel to accept a .50 caliber center fire cartridge, was deemed suitable for general military use. I should emphasize here that none of this was possible without a practical center fire cartridge case. The case held powder, bullet, and primer in one package. The cartridge case also served double duty by expanding against the chamber on discharge and sealing the powder gases in the barrel. This cartridge case is critical. The breech loader held the cartridge case, and the case sealed the gases. Back to Mr. Allen's rifle. It was adopted in July of 1866 and put into immediate production. By January of 1867, the first shipments of these rifles were on their way west. These rifles arrived on the frontier none too soon. Serious social discussions with the Sioux Indians were reaching a fever pitch along the Bozeman Trail in Wyoming and Montana during the period 1866 and 67. The Fetterman Massacre had just occurred, and the Army, with its post-war reductions in manpower, was having trouble holding on. The two major forts in the area, Fort Phil Kearny and Fort C.F. Smith, were adequately garrisoned and suffered no major risk of being directly overrun. Their wood-cutting and hay and water-gathering parties were in considerable danger. When confronted with isolated parties of whites, Indian tactics were simple. They attempted to close the range as much as possible, preferably by ruse or surprise. When it was time to join battle, they normally had one or two warriors expose themselves as firing dummies. As soon as the first volley was fired by the whites, the remaining Indians would charge pell-mell. knowing that at worst, the whites with muzzle loaders could fire one more volley before being overrun. In August of 1867, the Indians tried this at a hayfield outside Fort C.F. Smith and in a wood-cutting area outside Fort Phil Kearny. In both cases, they met with a large surprise as they suffered volley after volley in rapid succession. A comparison of what they expected and what they got looks like this. Let's go to the chart. We list the combat range of the breechloader as being slightly better than the rifled musket because of the breechloader's higher velocity and better ballistic coefficient. Its volume of fire is easily double that of the rifled musket. As the range decreased and the need for adjusting sights or attaining a good sight picture consequently decreased, a good soldier with a breechloader could increase this rate of fire. It was not uncommon at close ranges for a breechloader to put out 9 or even 10 rounds a minute. This increase in volume is such that it paid the soldier to manipulate his weapon and continue to fire as the enemy closed, rather than give up firing and fix bayonets for a final contest. Our example pointed this out well. The breechloader had gotten off 7 rounds in the same period that the muzzle loader had fired 2 and was midway through the loading cycle of his 3rd round. The breechloader could continue to fire while the soldier armed with the muzzle loader had no choice but to fix bayonets.
Stay tuned for more of the Shootin' Show after these important messages.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
Friends, here it is, the great Georgia Arms ammunition. Notice these ballistic tip nodular bullets in this Georgia Arms ammunition. You see, this is equivalent to a box of 20 for only $7.95. Now, friends, that is a terrific price for essentially custom-loaded ammunition. Of course, for the plain full metal jacket, it is much less expensive. Here's another tremendous bag of Georgia Arms ammunition, 7mm Remington Magnum, 20 rounds, only $17.95, loaded with these premium Nosler ballistic tips. I tell you, this is custom ammunition at a discount price. Tell you what, friends, the good people at Georgia Arms do understand what's going on in this country. They understand how important our gun rights are, and they're supporting us on this project. The good news is you can get absolutely superior ammunition at discount prices, whether you have a handgun or a rifle. If you want to take that big hunt, you can afford to practice with your rifle as well as use that same ammunition on the hunt because they are so reasonably priced. These are some of the nicest people we have ever met in this business, bar none, and they're down in beautiful Villa Rica, Georgia. So please, friends, if you would, you can get a free catalog with a free phone call. That's as good as the deal gets. A free catalog, free phone call, 1-800-624-6861. Again, Georgia Arms, 1-800-624-6861. And please tell them you saw it here on our shooting show.
Friends, I want to remind you, you can get our 41 Magnum Defense Special now from Georgia Arms. They have it in stock. And if you've got a 41 Magnum revolver or a 41 Magnum semi-automatic, there are a few of those out there, this will certainly lessen recoil. It has superior accuracy, and of course available from the good folks at Georgia Arms. Please give them a call, 1-800-624-6861, and please tell them you saw it here on our show.
You know, friends, we have enjoyed working with the good folks at Georgia Arms so much. I want to remind you that you can get the 41 Defense Special Load. They are shipping those out, and we're hearing some good reports from people that have tried the 41 Magnum Defense Special Load. It's certainly easier to shoot than the full charge Magnum loading, but it has better performance than the 357 Magnum, has more momentum, more energy than the best 357 load, so it's something that's easy to shoot but powerful. You know, the 45 Colt is a very famous old cartridge. It's been around since about 1873, somewhere along in there. And notice that on the Colt cartridge, you don't have a very large rim. The rim was necessary because the single action revolver would push out each hull from the center out. But when the Schofield came along, the 45 Colt with that small rim and certainly sticky black powder did not always give positive ejection because the ejector star had to catch it on the rim. Well, a lot of guns now, the double action revolvers, the new Ruger Red Hawk in 45 Colt, the Dan Wesson's going to be chambered in 45 Colt. There are a lot of Smith & Wesson Model 25s out there in 45 Colt, and ejection is still a problem, especially on some of the loads, or if the gun's dirty. Sometimes a hull will get underneath the ejector star and can cause you some real problems. Well, an idea I had, and I talked to Curtis at Georgia Arms about it, and the good folks at Sierra Bullets and Starline, we all discussed it and said, wait a minute. The Schofield was the fix because, in fact, we'll show you this a little closer here. The Schofield has a slightly larger rim. It was the replacement chambering in these guns, and I'll show you just why it's important. Friends, this was the 45 Colt cartridge case made for the 1873 Colt Single Action Army, and this was a Schofield which actually was made in conjunction here with the Schofield revolver. And you'll notice, see, the Schofield has a real rim on it, whereas the 45 Colt does not have much of a rim. But you can see the Schofield it's big enough you can see it. There's about 10 thousandths difference in the rim size on the Schofield cartridge case and on the 45 Colt. Well, it occurred to us that since so many of the 45 Colt double action revolvers are out there, and another consideration is the 45 Colt sometimes is difficult to get out of the sizing die when you reload it. You can get one stuck in there and this little bitty rim may pull through the sizing die. Well, it occurred to me, why not put the Schofield rim here, which has a real rim, which works well in the sizing die, why not put the Schofield rim on the Colt cartridge case? Aha, now we've got something working here. And the good folks at Georgia Arms are going to offer this. They're going to call it the 45 Colt Double Action, 45 Colt DA. And this is going in production. It'll be available within a couple of months. And those of you that have 45 Colt double action revolvers, they'll still work in the single action revolvers. They certainly the case, the rim is not big enough to bump into the other cases. It is a workable solution that Smith & Wesson figured out back in the 1870s, and we're just going to bring it forward 100 and something years and put this good Schofield rim on this 45 Colt case. Now also, as we're understanding, some of the 45 Colt rifles in cowboy action shooting, some of the 45 rifles are having trouble with extraction. Well, that should cure it. We've run experiments using this cartridge case in the Winchester and Marlin rifles. The ones we've tried them in work just fine. They would not work in all the Rossies, but they work just fine in the single action revolvers. And I'll tell you what, this is going to cure a lot of headaches in hand loading, a lot of headaches in the double action revolvers that are chambered for 45 Colt. Now friends, we've got a couple of 45 Colt spent cartridge cases here, then we got a couple of new Schofields. And what they did, they gave the extractor or the ejector portion here a better purchase on the rim of the cartridge case. And like I said, these did cause some malfunctions. The Colt types in the back when they were shooting these guns in the military, so Smith & Wesson said, what the heck, we'll just put a rim on it. And that's what worked so well then, and we think it's going to be a real winner today. So friends, when you give Georgia Arms a call, if you're interested in the case improvement in the 45 Colt, you may ask about, you may want to go ahead and get in line to order some of the 45 Colt double action brass there. They're going to have loaded ammunition. Georgia Arms will have brass available. Their dies, they'll work through the Dillon 45 dies just fine. We found that the Schofield works in an RCBS number 4 loading die. The shell holder, or loading die, the shell holder is number 4 from RCBS. And we think this is a really good idea. It's going to cure some headaches for some of the cowboy action shooters that are having extraction problems in the Schofield type guns, but they still want to use a full length case. So we think this is going to be a real neat thing. It is coming. It'll be available in a short time span. If you're interested, call Georgia Arms and let them know, because it's something else that we want to do for to make things better, to make shooting better. Heck, we hope we can keep these guns. We're going to darn sure fight and try to do it. So something we did want to mention to you, you can give Georgia Arms a call, 1-800-624-6861. If you have any questions about it, we will be going into it more on successive programs. Of course, friends, we picked a windy day out here, but we want to tell you about a new member in our support group, and these folks paint rifle stocks. You can see the standard stock here on the M14, or actually M1A, that Heather is holding, and you see the modification that these folks have done to another M1A or M14 stock. It is very, very nicely done, and we appreciate this new member in our support group. Now friends, take a look here at their brochure. It's Camouflage Technology, or Technologies. They do custom airbrush painting on gun stocks there. They're in Lake Elsinore, California. Their phone number is area 909-674-6488. This is their email address right here, and we'll give you those numbers again. But let me show you just some of the neat stuff that they do. Look at some of these camouflage patterns that they have available. They are very reasonably priced. All kinds of things, from the West German types, Russian types, French types, the camouflage for fall snow, West German pine needle snow, my goodness, all kinds of things. So what you want to do is give them a call and see the things they have to offer. Now, friends, if you'd like to have your gun stock painted by these fine folks at Camouflage Technologies, you can give them a call, area 909-674-6488, or you can reach them on the internet at www.inland.net/BK
BIZ/. And we really do appreciate their participation in helping to support our shooting show. Now, friends, here it is. This is the great 1919 Browning converted to semi-automatic from the good people at NWI. This is your chance to own a real piece of history. They're very collectible. They're also a lot of fun to own and shoot, and very reasonably priced, certainly for what you get. The 1919 Browning is from NWI. That phone number, area 503-429-5001. They also have the ammunition special still going on. 30-06 ammunition, only 18 cents a round, surplus in the belt. So give them a call today. NWI for the great 1919 Browning conversion. Also remember, they have the A6 conversion with the shoulder stock and the bipod. But these are tremendous pieces of history, also great shooters. So give them a call today, the 1919 Browning from NWI, area 503-429-5001. And friends, I want to remind you, we're going to have one of the 50 Browning versions, the 50 caliber conversions of the Browning machine gun, hopefully on display at our Fun Gun Weekend at Clark Custom Guns on May 16th and 17th. So plan your vacations now to be with us if you can. You can get this 50 caliber gun for now. It won't be available forever, trust me on this one, but they are available, as well as the 30-06 version you're seeing here on your screen. So give NWI a call today, area 503-429-5001. Please tell them you saw it on our show. The Shooting Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. And now, friends, we're going back to the SHOT Show in Las Vegas. Of course, it doesn't seem like it's been a couple of months ago, but it darn near has. But we have some interviews that we wanted to include on today's program, and here we go.
Camera?
Rich, if you don't mind, if you don't mind looking at the camera, if you would, we're on the air.
I can look at you.
Well, no, that's okay.
We're on the air?
Yeah, we're on the air now.
Uh-oh.
Well, friends, I'm standing here with an old friend, and certainly one of the neatest people in the business. He has the Gun Sight Training Center. This is Rich G. Rich, how you doing?
Hello, Johnny. How are you? Hello to everybody.
Well, absolutely. It's been a little while since they've seen your smiling face on our program, but we thought it might be time again.
Well, thank you. We're glad to be here. The SHOT Show's really great this year, and it's really neat that you're covering it.
Well, you know, we do. I'm not sure if it's a place or time to sell much as it is just to visit with people and get to see the fans and the people that enjoy watching and your customers and all. It's probably sort of like a fanfare in Nashville, I guess.
Well, that, and also, you know, there's a number of innovations to the shooting industry in holsters, firearms, ammunition, and this is the place where we show everybody what we've been working on all year long.
That's true. And of course, Rich, you have one of the premier schools in the United States in training. Of course, why don't you give us a brief synopsis of your curriculum that you do offer at Gunsight?
Well, there's 37 states now that have concealed carry weapons laws.
Very important, yeah.
And we really truly believe in responsible firearms ownership. We also believe in being able to be proactive about your personal protection. To that end, we've got 27 classes, and there are classes in the defensive use of handgun, rifle, carbine, tactical rifle, precision rifle, shotgun, and submachine gun. And essentially, we offer those to qualified students, law enforcement officers, and military people.
Well, I also want to add, of course, a tremendous line of products in the custom shop, too, which is, well, you have rifles and handguns, of course, and we, of course, can highly recommend you folks. Everything that all your product line has been just excellent that we have seen.
Well, you did that really neat shot on camera that time.
That's true. That's true. I had 200 yards with a 45. It was, you think I'm going to sit here and admit that was luck? No. You think I'm going to admit that was luck? Well, anyway, Richard, certainly not. We need to come back out. We need to have some fun out there. Go out and shoot some.
I'd love to have your viewers come to Gunsight.
Well, I appreciate it. That's true. You can call Gunsight there in Paulden, Arizona. You want to give your number?
Sure. It's 520-636-4565. And we're on the internet at gunsight.net, and that's 520-636-4565.
Well done, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Great, Rich. Thanks.
Bye now.
Well, friends, we hope you're enjoying our program today. They're all very, very important shows to us because it has been such a struggle to stay on the air. I will mention the judge is not here today. He was, believe it or not, he's at computer school. And he did not get out in time. He didn't get out of class in time to come down and be with us today. This is a terrible thing, of course, this shooting that happened at this school in Arkansas. But there are some unique considerations here. We are so sorry that anyone was killed needlessly, whether it was in a shooting or a car accident or a plane crash or anything that happens. Yet we as shooters face the added difficulty that we know the anti-gun people are going to use this incident that happened in Arkansas as further ammunition for their cause or their side to disarm us as Americans. When a bad car wreck happens, we don't hear anybody coming out and saying, well, let's ban those cars. Let's have more car control. Because we had a licensed driver who committed some act of automotive suicide or an injury that turned into suicide. We don't hear anyone saying that. When there are plane crashes, certainly we try and make and find out why and have safer airplanes, but no one talks about, well, let's ban air travel. No one talks about that. But we're going to have people in the anti-gun establishment that are going to say, well, let's take away, as soon as they figure out whatever handle they can get, if it's a semi-automatic rifle or whatever it was, say, well, we need to take those away and let's have more laws, more restriction. Well, those young children that shot those school kids up there the other day, they broke how many laws you want to talk about? They were breaking there's a law already that you can't have a gun within 1,000 feet of a school. They probably broke a law of being truant that day, being out of school. All kinds of laws. You can have a multitude of laws in place, but still there's going to be some crazy somewhere that figures out a way to terrorize or to hurt other people. A few years ago, when that individual burned that club down in New York, I believe it's the largest mass murder here in the United States. There's 200-something people got killed. Some of you will remember that. But he threw a can of gasoline into a crowded dance hall. And literally a couple of hundred people died on account of that. You didn't hear anybody go out and say, well, let's ban gas cans. Let's ban the sale of gasoline. No one said that. But I promise you that there will be people coming out now and holding up emotional pictures of children crying, of parents crying, emotional appeals to have more gun control, because this is what the other side uses. In this same newspaper, which actually dates from March 25th, there's the article there where a mother in California, just a couple of pages away, suffocated her 3 little girls. We had this on at the beginning of the program with duct tape. It just goes to show there are crazies out there. Friends, the only way that someone can be perfectly secure would be literally to be in solitary confinement, excuse me, in a prison somewhere. And I don't think any one of you out there watching would want to be in solitary confinement in a prison. We're never going to have, it's just part of life. Danger is part of life. The variable is part of life. And as long as there are people, occasionally somebody's going to snap. As we said earlier in the program today, guns are used over 2.5 million times per year to avert crime, to save lives, most of the time never being fired. If you think that I'd be here today on account of if I hadn't had that old 20-gauge shotgun years ago, I think the chances aren't too good I would be, because literally we were able to literally run those gang members off with that old shotgun and a small 38 caliber Derringer. Let me show you something else here in the newspaper. Just talk about wild stuff. Bill Clinton is in Africa right now. He's speaking to thousands of African school children. He's promised $120 million in aid to train teachers in Africa. Think about what $120 million devoted toward gun safety, on showing children how to properly handle guns, how to safely handle guns. Think about how much more good that would do. But you see, friends, the anti-gun crowd, they don't want to do good. They just want to take our guns away so they can have their police state. We're always running tight on time, but someone sent me a little newspaper here, a newsletter from, it's called the Warren County, Pennsylvania Gun Owners Association newsletter. And they have, it's really an excellent little newsletter. We have several folks from around the country, and this is one of the things we do. On our program, we want to encourage people to become involved. Because you know what? If we don't become more involved as gun owners, as parents, as shooting instructors, trying to show our kids, our neighbors, our wives, whoever else may listen, proper and safe gun handling, we're going to lose this battle, friends. If we don't become more involved, how in the world can over 70 million, at least we know of 70 million gun owners in the United States, how in the world are we letting a small percentage of power-hungry people literally tell us what we're going to do, what we'll have to do? I flatly cannot, I just can't accept it that all of us as gun owners are going to let this happen. We don't have to. Remember, it only takes 5% of the general population to do about anything we want to do. It only takes 5%. And we've got to get our 5% in gear. Let me just briefly tell you what some of the things going on. In Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania, on October 1, 1997, 30 FBI SWAT team members dressed in black body armor and helmets piled out of 2 vans in downtown Elizabethtown. With guns drawn, they assaulted 12 teenagers by throwing them up against the wall of a store, handcuffed them with plastic wire ties, and searched them and a vehicle. The FBI team, who were armed with fully automatic weapons, were allegedly taking part in a training exercise held at a nearby police academy. Now, the FBI admitted they made a mistake and apologized to the teens, which they held for over half an hour. They said their guns weren't loaded for the exercise. Guess what, friends? You know, they're always loaded guns. What in the world is happening? You think those kids weren't scared out of their mind? Friends, our government is training for stuff we don't understand. Why would the FBI be out there catching teenagers, terrorizing the local town? Why? It doesn't make any sense. We've had some comments this week. We have a couple of ideas on what that prison camp was down in Mississippi, and we have widely varying ideas of what it might be. But friends, honestly, if we don't get a better grip on our government, if we don't, we're going to have that proverbial police state. We can do it now. We can do it by contacting our representatives, by writing those letters to the newspaper, by standing up in our churches, in our synagogues, and just telling the truth about how we feel. We have to stand now, friends, you know, because if we don't, there may not be an opportunity later. we did get a little break here. The Supreme Court today refused to shield federal law enforcement agents from a civil rights lawsuit growing out of a deadly siege at Ruby Ridge, Idaho 6 years ago. So they're not going to give immunity, at least as this says now, to some of those federal agents, especially that sniper that shot Randy Weaver's wife, Vicki. And they shouldn't be shielded. My gosh, after World War II, we tried the German Nazis, tried them for war crimes, doing things that they knowingly or should have known were wrong, so we can't let our own people. See, friends, we can have some success, but we have to do it. We have to get motivated. We have to do it. One of the ways that you can help. This project has been harder than anyone can imagine. I was telling our editor a few minutes ago, I had not a clue when we started this project 10 years ago how difficult it was going to be. The problem is so many of the gun companies are afraid that if, since our program, the shooting show, has to be political, we have to tell the truth, and so many of the industry people are so afraid of becoming involved with any sort of political movement, even though it's our crusade to save our rights as citizens, even though it's our crusade to save our guns and our gun ownership rights, they're terrified that the government may pull a permit or run an audit or who knows what else. They're actually afraid. And that's not how it ought to be, friends. That's the way it is. If you can help us stay on the air, if you want to see the shooting show continue and expand and reach more people, if you can help us stay on the air, please sit down and write a check now to the shooting show, 327 Irvin Rowland Road in Dubberly, Louisiana. That zip code is 71024. If you can, we need your help, friends. If you can join our support group, you can call us, 318-377-5189. Fluid film, 2 large cans, $19.95 from the shooting show, 327 Irvin Rowland Road, Dubberly, Louisiana. The zip code is 71024. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. And we want to recognize in our support group this week, Custom Leatherwork and Saddlery, all kinds of leather work there in Denham Springs, Louisiana. Give them a call, area 504-667-9225 for literally all kinds of leather work. Also, Flying Horse Enterprises, they're on the internet there at www.flyinghorse.net. They have all kinds of neat artwork done there. And we want to recognize Holland Guard Service over in Meridian, Mississippi. Wayne Bearden, our friend over there, for all kinds of security needs in that area. Their number is area 601-644-3950. And our good friend Dennis Crocker, who is a firearms instructor there in South Carolina, teaches concealed carry, all kinds of firearms instruction. You can give him a call, area 864-587-8722. And our good friend Bruce Warren with BC Armory there in East Leroy, Michigan. He does all kinds of work on semi-automatics and on revolvers. For his expertise, you can give him a call at area 616-729-5508. And of course, we want to remember Clark Custom Guns here in Princeton, Louisiana, for all kinds of work on handguns and Ruger 22 automatic rifles and bolt-action rifles for that matter. Remember, we're going to have our Fun Gun Weekend at Clark Custom Guns on May 16 and 17. For information about their product line, give them a call, area 318-949-9884. And we look forward to seeing you on the next show. Remember, our radio show and the gospel show also on Sundays.